Well, already, gang, welcome back to the Gutowski Files, starring Stephen Gutowski. He is the founder and owner and editor-in-chief over at thereload.com. You may ask yourself,
this is not a paid endorsement, but I am a brand ambassador for Heckler and Koch for a reason. HK firearms are incredibly high quality, and when it's time to step up out of the entry tier, they're the only ones I recommend. You carry a gun just in case. Shouldn't it be an HK just in case?
Self, why are Mike and Stephen always smiling when they open the show? It's because we're talking beforehand, and we happen to be pretty good friends on top of being colleagues and work associates. Stephen, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. That intro definitely made me think of the song, though.
The song?
You may ask yourself, where is my beautiful wife? You may ask yourself,
Heads.
Where is my beautiful house?
Now, anyone under 40 is not going to get that reference, probably.
I'm under 40.
Yeah. You got to remind me that every time we meet. Oh, he's so young. He's so young. And
gray doesn't make it look like it, but I'm 37.
So I know I was gray at 20 something. I'm balding. I had my hair cut off by the time I was 36, I think, something like that. It's a rough life. Anyway, so today we are going to discuss an article that just dropped, a fresh article over at thereload.com, authored by our very own Stephen Gutowski. The headline is YouTube says links to gun ammo dealers will trigger channel bans. So this is something that's close to my heart and the heart of everyone at Active Self-Protection, because they basically said, hey, some of your stuff is going to trigger, a ban or a strike or whatever due to, advertising or whatever the case may be. And we've actually gone back and had to change some of the stuff in the past. And in the article, it does say we don't do anything retroactively, but just to be safe, we're gonna go back a little bit at least and try to make sure we're staying within the guidelines. But the problem is sometimes I'm not giving YouTube a hard time. Sometimes it's hard to know what exactly it is that YouTube wants us to do. We want to comply with whatever their stuff is. This is our bread and butter, obviously, is a YouTube channel. And we couldn't, if we got banned, if the channel got canceled, there'd be something like 15 or 20 people out of a job or at least a significant reduction in pay for sure. So kind of walk us through what's going on with YouTube and with the ads and kind of what they told you during your interview.
Yeah, so YouTube made a change to their firearms policy back in June, actually. And John Correa, host of Active Self-Protection, came on the Weekly Reload podcast to talk about it at the time back then. And, the main changes dealt with things like homemade firearms or bump stocks and automatic fire, stuff of that nature, and whether, basically that they were going to age restrict some of this content. And it didn't seem like something that was going to have a broad impact across most of the gun tuber channels, whether it's Active Self-Protection or your more entertainment focused channels like Demolition Ranch or Hickok 45, or your more like news focused channels like the Reload or the Gun Collective or what have you. And so, at the time, it didn't seem like a sweeping policy. It seemed like more of a policy to target homemade gun making, and which is obviously still a significant presence on YouTube, but not some of the top channels necessarily. And what ended up unfolding after that, though, was this realization by a lot of the top creators, including, of course, Hickok 45, I think most prominently, that this policy update also included a renewed, effort to scrutinize sponsorships for gun channels. There had been a ban on links to any site that sells guns or certain accessories since at least 2018. But from my conversation with YouTube and two spokespeople that I interviewed, it seems that is now also being not necessarily, from their point of view, it's not an expansion. It's more of a renewed effort to focus on spoken links. So, those sponsored ads that you see in a lot of YouTube content, a lot of gun tuber content that advertise something like Lucky Gunner or Ammo Brand or Bud's Gun Shop or something like that. Right. They were saying that was a renewed focus on their policy enforcement, which is what has had, I think, the much larger impact than any of the age restriction stuff that they implemented. Because as you alluded to there, one of the big issues is that's how a lot of gun tubers make money, is through sponsorships of that sort that tell people to go to this website. Maybe has a discount code attached to it or something like that. Very common way of making money as a content creator or video producer in really any industry. But YouTube has a particular issue with encouraging people to go to websites that sell firearms, even if they're licensed dealers or there's nothing illegal or untoward about the arrangement. They don't want that sort of promotion on the website.
Yeah, which I find odd. I mean, I don't know. I guess that they're a company. They're free to associate or not associate with whomever they want. But at the end of the day, these are, I mean, for the most part, everything that Active Self Protection advertises, obviously, the dogs are getting, I think the thunderstorm's going back, the dogs are getting noisy. These are all legal products that are sold lawfully. And I'm not sure, I guess they could turn their ire on anybody at any time to decide what they will and won't allow. But I think my biggest problem with it, and I don't know that this is intentional on the part of YouTube or their parent company, is it just seems a little nebulous. Like, you're trying to kind of dance in between the raindrops and comply with what they're asking you to do while still making money. In your opinion, as a journalist, is it deliberately kept sort of nebulous and hard to pin down exactly? For example, I noticed that nobody would go on the record, as near as I could tell from reading your article from YouTube. So it just seems almost deliberately confusing, if that makes any sense.
Well, YouTube went on the record in the sense that they gave me a statement that was quotable from the company, and we can get into some of the issues I have with reporting on large companies like YouTube, or this happens with Facebook or political campaigns. We can talk a little bit about sort of the mechanics of reporting in a minute. But first, I would say the first part of your question has to do with the sort of vagueness of the YouTube firearms policy. Because if you go and read the policy, it's not very long. It's not very detailed. It even explicitly says that links to sites that sell certain items, and then at the bottom of that list, it has a note that says it's not all of the items necessarily, and they just don't tell you everything as a content creator. And they do that. The argument from YouTube's side on that point is that they don't want to make the lines too bright on this stuff because they are concerned about bad actors circumventing their rules if the rules were more clear. Obviously, the problem with that point of view, as you noted, is it makes it difficult for people who are good actors to actually comply with their rules, because you sort of have a sort of Damocles situation where you just don't really know if what you're putting out there on the platform is allowed or not. For instance, the policy, if you read it, talks about linking to sites that sell guns or accessories that are designed to simulate automatic fire, essentially bump stocks, or that sell kits to convert firearms to fully automatic fire, which would be a heavily regulated thing, not generally available on most gun dealers. But then it says ammunition magazines, high capacity ammunition magazines, which their definition is different from most of the ones you hear in like state laws that have magazine capacity limits, because YouTube sets the limit at 30 rounds for whatever reason. So their limit is a bit higher than most of the ones you've heard of out there. But it doesn't say anything about ammo dealers in particular. But they confirmed to me that, yes, ammo dealers are included in this link ban. Like, you can't link to sites that sell ammunition.